Good evening, everyone. How are you all doing? It is a little bit late, but I hope you're having a great time. Different screen? Um, just a moment, I need to wish my grandparents goodbye, like good night. And I think I can just leave chat open here. There we go. So, this is a little bit of a different look than most people are like used to. This is what I did on Twitch for every Friday, and we planned our D&D sessions. But as Vagrant Order became more hectic and more demanding, and my schedule also became tighter, it became somewhat of a hassle to do this every week. So this was like my least pressing, and now it's like my most pressing because we're running out of content. Yeah, we already started. So I'm going to give you a quick introduction while I open all the files I need. Let's see, I think this is my big campaign document. You'll hear some alerts. In the past, I got... yeah, there we have it. In the past, I got Office 365 from my school, and ever since my license expired, because I'm no longer associated with that school, my usual Microsoft Office, which is 2007, I think, has been corrupted. So it always thinks it needs to open 365, but it opens 2007, and it is annoying. I can't fix it. I lost my old code. I even lost the installation files, so there's no going back. Anyway, you can see my cursor. It should be all right and well. So like this was like the introduction, and then they're in Aquatail. Then I have like a quest laid out, even describing what the map is and what everything is in the map, like different checks they can do. It is pretty through, but they always know how to break. This is the important notes section. My players are not allowed to have any glimpse of this because this is extremely spoilery. So if my party is currently watching, I humbly ask to look away. Thank you. Why are you even on the stream? So this is like the encompassing details of the campaign. So I'll run you through because I did it on Twitch, new audience, etc., etc. Well, I should probably check if... yeah, everything is going well. There is some major delay in restream, but that's fine. So this is basically the final boss, the final Dragon Lord, because the campaign is called the War of the Dragon Lords. It is the remnant of the ancient battle that took place at the end of the Second Age and kicked off the Third Age. And Scar Withenmorden has been alive ever since then as the quote-unquote final Dragon Lord. Although there is another Dragon Lord alive, the cursed Dragon Lord Falmorgan, who... Falmorgan is trapped inside the Dragon Tower. It's an indestructible fortress that is only accessible once every 100 years when enough dragon artifacts, which are the crystallized forms of the dragon warriors that fought in the at the end of the Second Age, have been gathered in one group as to show like, hey, this is the new. Commander Slaus is wearing a layered cloth with a red shawl and a brown cloak. In his Dragon Lord armor, he wears blackened dragon bone armor, twisted beyond recognition. He has grey hair and a cut over his right eye, closing it permanently. Classic. Scar has 7 disciples who act faithfully towards him, but they act independently in their own goals. They already killed one. Malak Gorbeth, the divining wizard, is, or was, I should say, a brilliant wizard of divination that was able to conduct a plan to use the Eye of Vecna to pierce through the veil and see into the divine, which basically makes him aware of like the divinity that's happening in the world, and gives him like an ability to pierce into everything godlike. So he will ascend into godhood if he was pushing through that. He failed, then he got set back. Like, wizards takes a lot. Being a wizard is not cost efficient. So yeah. Oh, I'm getting a pop-up. Your bitrate setting is out of recommended for YouTube. Oh, okay. I don't know what that was about. Anyway, so then there are 7 more. I haven't figured out who I'm going to pick for number 5, because I have one player who is just there, and it's not really nice to say that about her, but she doesn't have a goal. I basically have to give her a goal so that her character can actually be somewhat invested into the story, and so this place is reserved for her character. We have Rahl Carnage Incarnate, which is she is one of my players plays a character, and he is a blood hunter, and his father was also a prior blood hunter, and he found a way to separate his cursed side from his humanoid side, if you will. And that resulted into Rahl Carnage Incarnate, which can only be killed and destroyed by someone of his kin. While he is a coward, the Blood Hunter initiate made him brave and gave him all the advantage he would need to be a Blood Hunter, a really good one at that. But now they're separate, and Rahl took every bit of good. That was or I should say, every bit of power. Alistrae is a goddess, or a pseudo-goddess I should say, in this story. Really important to another character who wishes to succeed where she had failed, to unite the Drows with the upper realms. Alistrae became bitter after her defeat, being unable to actually succeed into uniting them, and for some reason has joined Scar with Remorder. I know the reason. That'll be like Shahen Faceinger, the Princess of Light, is a prominent character. She is the youngest of all. Well, Malak is the youngest, but she made her name for herself about 100 years ago when she went on a holy pilgrimage to unite, to like stop wars, stop famine. She's considered a very eventful character, who is still talked about, but her stories have dwindled a little bit over the ages. She had some successes, some failures, and the Princess of Light is basically like she's trying to save the world. Really weird. That's the bad guy who's it's ambiguous. So we have spot 5, Lux Sinmeiser, the King of Curses, also connected to one of my to the same character of Alistrae. But Lux Sinmeiser is basically the de facto bad guy. He will pop up anywhere when the party needs some exposition, needs to do something, and he's just there to ruin their day. He is a really powerful curse. His whole battle style His whole existence is basically just being cursing everything and watching the world burn. He is the epitome of chaotic evil, and he doesn't care who sets the world aflame. And Scar just happens to be really good at that job, he assumes. He is the oldest curse and like the basis of all curses in the world, including the curse harbored um, by our blood hunter, who has the Beast of Maledict, which is a curse based on him. But Lux, of course, is like an infinitesimal. I don't know if that's the correct word, but he is a lot worse than a simple werewolf trick. And then we have Rodorminat. 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 That's how you pronounce it. Rodorminat. The knightly hero. He is the most recent character to join Scar. Considered to be a hero, hence the title of knightly hero. He has stopped a crusade, a Pelorian crusade against another neighboring city, including their god. He has fought against wyverns and dragons, and he basically made a name for himself for being justly. But people around him are kind of icky with him. In a way, everything around him just feels off, you know? Like you're having a good time, everything is going well. Everything's going too well, actually. That's the feeling everyone has around him, and that is because he's extremely lucky. Basically a character you can't net 20. He will always have at least a 10 for his dice rolls. He will never net 1. His crits really hurt. And he has like some maneuvers he can attempt. And everything they have, Scar is a master of it. Because he's the oldest and he has passed down some, except for the last two, Luximizer and Rodorminat. Scar basically owns them. And they will kneel before him. No questions asked. Scar is such a force of nature. In a future session, if we ever get there, I hope, there will be an assault on Scar's supposed hideout. And as soon as the armies march on, he will just announce, "My name is equal to destruction. And I demand you kneel." And of course, every party member at that point has a dragon artifact, is unable to resist it. But the rest of the army, they all kneel. And they keep kneeling. And then his disciples come out, and they just slaughter everyone. One by one, by one, by one. And the party is only able to watch, because individually, they are really strong. Even Malik was almost able to TPK them. But now they're together. They're the 6 remaining. They don't stand a chance. They can attempt to maybe take one out, but he will just crush them at that point. They are not equipped for that battle. Alistria is too nimble, Ral is too tanky, Cheyenne is way too deceptive, Lux is he will really test my party. Every attack he does, every time he gets physically... Fuck off, Moth. Every attack he does, every attack he receives physically, and every turn that starts with him being with him being touched, he will apply a curse, a 1 of 100 curses to the party, and they will add up quickly. Things like drop AC by 1, drop max hit points by 1, drop strength by 1. And those are the simple ones. There are also, of course, drop athletics by 1, drop. Um, I, th I think maybe I need to drop it down to like. No, I can do it like 41 to 43 is that, and then like 44 to 45 is that. I just need to come up with a list with everything I can debuff. And of course, he will have stronger debuffs like reduce healing received by 1, um, reduce damage dealt by 1, and it may look really like it looks really tame, but then you realize he has resistance to magic. He has advantage to all saving throws. If he succeeds on a saving throw against magic, he'll avoid all damage. Um, he is completely immune to any and all debuffs. Can't be cursed. Um, he has an ability that allows him to teleport someone as a reaction every turn. So if someone is going to be like, oh, I'm gonna place you in this dome, in this inescapable dome, and now I'm going to cast Fireball, and he'll just before Fireball hits, teleport the caster into the sphere, and they both get hit. And now they're both in the sphere. Oops. And he can just use an action to teleport away anyway. So if things get too dire, he just bye. Opens portal, leaves. So the Fata Morgana, which are copies of Scar with a Mortar, which come from an artifact that has been lost through the ages. And they're basically copies of him that act like him and try to succeed on the quest. And then finally, the Dragon Bones, the true Dragon Bones, which are his goal to obtain. There are a few. He already has one, one from Aquatail. Later in the story, they will fight against the fallen Arch Cleric Tutti, who is going to become a Divine Leech, combining the powers of the Undead and the Divine into a Divine Leech, overcoming the weaknesses of both. A really dangerous creature to have walking around. The father of Eileen and the Avora, which are reoccurring characters that my party already has like a really bad start with the Avora, because they were so selfish. Sorry to say, but they were really selfish. They basically hate her because she took a pendant worth 25 gold out of a treasure of I think was worth 5,000 gold. So 5 of them get about 5,000 gold. The Avora gets 25 or 50 I think, which is like a percent. 1. And they hate her for it. But they need her. They need to befriend her at least until the earlier parts, because they're going to run into into one of the cursed vaults eventually, and the only way to get through that is with either Eileen or Diavora. There is no other way. It's a TPK if they don't. The Marhash School of Dragons has one. Quill's Ringmaster, the Starscorn Kurovorn. The Throne of Titania, which is today's subject, the second daughter of the Feywild and Queen of Fairies, and the Dark Cursed Tomb of Mandra. That's the place. The Dark Cursed Tomb of Mandra. Getting your hit points reduced to 0 basically puts you in the position of being killed by Cursed Finger. I think it was Cursed Finger, a 6th level spell, where you're instantly revived as a zombie. And it has a permanent area of effect that triggers once you get about 10 minutes in. The entire tomb becomes cursed and starts to drain your hit points away with intervals of 5 necrotic damage per turn. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna take 2 steps back and I'm out of the curse. No, you're like a few thousand steps in, or like a few hundred steps in. Even if you dash out, you will most likely succumb to the necrotic damage. Only my only one of my party members might actually survive because she has resistance to curse damage and is really nimble. She might survive. But if my party is like, oh, at that point my party will enter, the Ephora will come. And if they're like, I'm going to attack the Ephora, it's like, okay, guys, you had your three chances to make up with her, and not be a dick. She's just gonna leave. And at that point, it's just TPK. It's a dick move, but sometimes you have to be a little bit of a dick. I'm a dungeon master. I basically do that for a living. Alright, so what's next? We are going to make a dungeon, the Hall of Titania, using the Dungeon Scroll app, which is a pretty good app. It is pretty nice. So right now, my party is at meeting the Rat King. You can see how little it reads Mother Titania's. Yeah, it's Mother Titania's Refuge. It's also called the Halls of Titania. Inside the sanctuary, the Rat King can be seen waiting. He is extremely hostile to the party, but won't attack yet, unless some sort of provoking occurs. Knowing my party, that's like 2 sentences in. After the Rat King has been defeated, Grakf comes to the sanctuary murmuring, there must always be a Rat King. He proceeds to eat the Rat King, which would take him approximately 24 hours. After the Rat King has been consumed, Grakf resumes the role of the Rat King. He can tell the party that an old power has been awoken in the deeper parts of the sanctuary that he thought were sealed off by rubble in the past. Grakf moves aside one of the 1-foot wide pipes and reveals a hidden staircase. This leads down into an unexplored dungeon. The smell of the sewers is gone, and upon entering the first room, murals of a sprite-like being is seen fighting a dragon. In Sylvan it reads, Mother Titania's Refuge. The structure is ancient and can be dated back to at least 50,000 years ago. Is that correct? Oh wait, I can just... No, it's in my prose. I'm not sure if it opens up the prose. No. It's the 13th of Defter in the year 11,253 of the Third Age of Tanithian. After the War of the Dragon Warriors comes to an end, Tanithian was left in an absolute desolate state. Many clans, tribes, or even forlorn families tried to make new homes within the scorched lands. Masses of dirt grew to mountains, piles of forests transformed into lakes, and oceans shifted from south to north. But prosperity returned to the land, returned, and the people thrived once more. About 600 years prior, northern and southern Tanithian was split during the Clash of Dragons. Dragons from the Isle Draconiac made their way to the southern Tanithian to wage war, leaving that part once again completely desolated. Ancient tales resurface once again from people who would seek out these crystallized powers of the Dragon Warriors, but success was not a story often told. There are only so many adventurers nowadays looking for these, but there are many adventures to be had still. You're an adventurer, a commoner, a scholar, or even just a regular farmer getting mixed up in the ancient aftermath of the war. Prepared, you set out for your own journey, only to mix paths with other individuals of many reaches of the world. This party is now yours. The companionship you share may be as black as tar, or cozy as a fireplace at home. Nowadays, people find themselves busy with their own life, in their own habitat. Adventuring is not a common practice, although it is not extremely rare. Every town or city you find on the map will have a hospital environment for your practice in the form of taverns and shops. Down below you find 4 different starting locations you can choose from, including some information about the location, as well as a direct link to the map of said location. You're free to explore it. If more information is needed, the request can be made. There are 4 parts to each starting location. An introduction to the starting location to get accustomed to. The story of how the party meets and how the first encounters go. Rumors to help the party get to know the style and culture of the location. Events that came prior, useful to understand the locals' current interest better. And also, the party will receive a different circumstance of meeting, as well as a different level of acquaintancy, and a bonus to the starting funds. That was basically the whole thing for the this entire setup. They had 4 starting locations, and I said, like, don't bother about the location itself. Bother yourself with the extras that are delivered when choosing them. So my party disregarded my suggestion and just went for the location. Okay, and then they want to retcon everything I made prior. It's like, yeah, guys, thanks. This is what I was working for my whole life. Yeah, I think the first age was about 30,000 years, the second age about 20,000 years, and the third age we're now in 10,000 years. Um, Unless specified by the item, magic items effect remain a mystery until identified with an identify spell or a book of identify. The effect will still take effect unless each hexagon is a 1-day travel of foot. Each 2 hexagons are 1 day of travel by horse. If you travel with pooling horses, you receive the 4th hexagon for free. With both the sun and the flying city in direct view, directions can always be determined with an intelligence 8 or higher, no roll required. Yeah, storylines and hooks presented to the players will progress with or without them. After starting the campaign at one of the starting locations, the other 3 will move on as intended as well. That is basically the other locations that we have. They will have their quest line completed. 50,000 years, yeah, seems about right. Now I'm gonna make it with a DC 24 history check. What is it called? Can be found, can be determined. Can be determined, can be remembered. It's successful investigation of murals, except the first will reduce the DC by 2. Okay, yeah, I have to go through this again. So treasure chests are Containers are marked with numbers and maps are marked with letters. By the way, my party is now officially scared of T-splits. Whenever we get to a T-split, they will freak out. That's now a meme. Okay, let's go to... I can also use the one page, like I can also use something like this. And I just refresh. I said I refresh. Oh, that's how you do it. New dungeon. The House of the Dread Lily. It's actually a pretty good tool as well. If you rotate the fit full screen. Oh, that is... This is actually a lot more appealing to the eye. Yeah. Default. The problem is I can't... No, this is actually something I had in mind. Static, that was weird. Incarnate is also a very good tool to use, but it's extremely time consuming. So Dungeon Scroll is the second best option. Or best in overall. Okay, so the party goes through a staircase, works their way down, and arrives at a like this. So this is where they come from, and the nice thing is they have all these like stickers, if you will, images. I can just do this. So they come here. They see the mural. Like the mural is on the well, it's actually a lot more open space. No, actually, I like that. And then there is a door over here. get inside, and what do they see? Go through a hallway, and they enter into a large room. I also need some doors. There we go. Kind of a dick move. By the way, YouTube and Kick, I'm using copyright-free music, so don't kill the messenger, please. I specifically searched for copyright-free. If you have a problem with me, YouTube, this is your search engine. That's your problem. Anyway. So what I want from this dungeon, have enough rooms that they can explore a little bit of mystery, have a few encounters, find the people who are trapped here thanks to the Rat King, but also it needs to go down in level. So once they go down like one level, they'll enter a new map, and so it's first floor, second floor. The second floor has some openings into the stone and structure around it, so they can walk on like stone and platforms and that, because it's more desolated and more destroyed. And then my party can see like the bottom, where's a giant mist. And one of my party members is going to be like, I'm gonna fly my familiar into it. Okay, seems I run into some technical difficulties. Okay, I'm just doing that to check something. Okay, YouTube seems to be working still. Kick seems to be working, and Restream also. let's go back here. Small passage. Into a different room. And this is where the first split occurs. This one leads to a hallway. To an irregular looking room with a hidden passage. This one just connects to a large room. Okay. So Titania's refuge